My name is Murray Richardson, and like Jill, I'm a faculty member here in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies. I've been working here for a little over 10 years now, and before that, I studied at Trent University in environmental science, and I studied geography at University of Toronto. So I have to, one thing I always like to mention to prospective students is that personally, I'm very happy to have ended up at a school that's the size of Carleton. I find it to be, from having gone to Trent, which is very small, to one of the largest universities in Canada, Trent or Carleton is just such a great sort of happy medium size. It has all the benefits of a larger university, but also has the community feel of a smaller university and the opportunity for me now as a professor to get to know students, but of course as a student to get to know your professors on a more personal level. And so that's something I always like to mention. Now, I'm the undergraduate supervisor in physical geography and geomatics. So essentially within environmental studies, and geography and environmental studies, we have a really wide range of courses and programs. So it could be a little bit confusing for some people, but we're unique in that sense, in that not only, as you just heard about from the others, we offer courses that are both address social sciences and human geography, and also the natural sciences and physical geography and technologically oriented courses in geomatics. So my particular interests, for example, are in water resource science and how we can apply geospatial technologies such as geographic information systems, so computer-based mapping and analysis of GPS, global positioning systems, satellite remote sensing and drone remote sensing methods to study and manage freshwater resources in rivers and aquatic environments, especially in northern regions, but also a lot around the Ottawa area. So I normally teach a first-year course called Map Satellites in the Geospatial Revolution. So that's an introductory geomatics course for students that come from all over the university to take that course because it's quite a broad introduction to geospatial technologies. I also teach, for example, at the third year, I teach hydrology and statistics. Not everyone's necessarily favorite, but I like to try to make it as fun as possible, and it's a very important subject area from my perspective. And I also teach field courses. So Jill was asking about field courses, and last year I actually taught one of them that you just heard about, which was in Quebec, where we studied things like snow and water and soils and forests, streams and lakes and these types of things. So just to give you a sense that that's a really quite a different dimension, but that's one of the unique things about our program is that it really spans quite a broad spectrum of disciplines. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the two where I teach and supervise a little bit more, and those are physical geography again and geomatics. So physical geography is I describe it as the study of the physical environments and ecosystems of Canada, not just ecosystems, but bigger systems as well, like climatology and the biosphere. So subfields of physical geography include geomorphology, hydrology, glaciology, biogeography, and climatology. And we have faculty members in all of these that specialize in one or more of all of these different subfields. And those may be words that you're not overly familiar with, but the applications of our work really addresses a lot of really pressing real world problems. So we focus on things like, as I do, like water resources, quantity and quality of water, agricultural sustainability and impacts of intensive agriculture on the environment, land use change, and permafrost and glacier loss in northern regions of Canada, not to mention climate change and the many impacts that climate change can have on all of these fields that I've just been discussing. So our work is very, very applied, and because of that, I think that the coursework that you do in those programs are really interesting and very topical all the time. So we're always pulling from current issues and also using our research to bring into the classroom as well. Graduates from physical geography work in a really wide variety of fields, so they have careers in both private and public sectors and industry, so environmental consulting, for example, conservation authorities, municipal to federal government agencies, so a really wide range of outcomes for our students. And yeah, I think what I'd like to do next is just also do the same now and talk a little bit about geomatics. And geomatics is a term that not everyone is familiar with. It's actually an official disciplinary term, but it doesn't have wide use. And many students in the geography and environmental studies choose to take some courses in this field. And even though it may not be a familiar term for you, you're probably already interacting with geomatics and geomatics related technologies all the time in your day-to-day life. So this is a field that's really exploded like hugely in the last, well, 5, 10, and even 15 or 20 years, but especially in the last few years, and has become much more common for people to become familiar with through like location-based services with phone technologies, things like Uber and location-aware weather apps, and computer-based interactive mapping. So basically, and these things are our students in the program get to really, like, while many people interact with these technologies, our students learn to really look under the hood of those types of technologies and the software and technology that underpins them and become experts in that field. That's it's a lot to cover and explain in a short amount of time. So I'm not going to go too far into that. But we have, I just want to say that we have also a program in geomatics, and you can take either a major or a minor in that program. And one important element of both of our physical geography and geomatics programs is that it's somewhat unique in that students can take either a BA or a BSc. So depending on your affinity for science and physical sciences and math and computation, you can either dive more into that part of those fields or a little bit less and maybe focus a little bit more on the human dimensions of physical geography and the applications of geospatial technologies to that field as well. Okay, so and back to geomatics just for a second, many of our faculty members, we have a number that teach in that program, and that includes the core areas that we focus on as a department are remote sensing, so satellite-based and airplane-based imaging of the Earth's surface, and turning that data into useful information, and also geographic information systems. So that's working with spatial data within a software environment and using those tools to analyze geospatial data. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Melina Dan, and she's a fourth-year student, and she's majoring in BA. She has with a BA in geography program, and she has a minor in urban studies. And although she's not directly majoring in the programs that I just spoke of, she has actually taken quite a few courses from those. So we thought that she's a really good example of a student who's sort of surveyed and sampled the breadth of many of the different types of courses that our program offers, including some of the ones I was just talking about, and that we thought that would be useful for many of you to hear about. So, Melina Dan.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm just looking to see you. Oh, there you are, good. Thanks for joining us today, much appreciated. So I have, like the others, I have a few questions that we'll go through, and the first one has to do with the choice of coming to Carleton. So choosing your university and a program is obviously a huge choice that many of the people in our audience are thinking about right now as well. Could you tell us a bit about that decision-making process for you and what made you choose Carleton?
Actually, my older sister attended, so he was 2 years older than me, and she always spoke highly of the comfortable environment, physical and just in general, like all the available amenities and the camaraderie of her program. So like Janie mentioned earlier, I'm from the GTA, so I wanted to also experience Ottawa because I traveled there before, and I fell in love with all the green space and the layout of the city and the friendliness of everything. So yeah, bouncing back to what I said though, my sister attended and she always highlighted how welcomed and connected she felt in her program. She took industrial design, so it's kind of similar to geography in that it's a smaller program. And as freshmen, we both felt a bit worried we might not be able to engage with our classmates as much, but it was actually rather the opposite. Even now, we don't have the option for in-person activities and whatnot, but like Sondos mentioned, there's so many online opportunities to connect and feel like, you know, kind of like at home, you could say, with your program. QGESA has a lot of great online platforms and events going on still.
Good. And was your, it just related to that question as well, was your choice to major in geography and urban studies, was that like something that evolved over the first year or two, and or did you come right into those programs? And the urban studies program is fairly new, of course. So what was the process of choosing your program as well? I'm curious.
I had like, I just knew that I liked kind of analyzing different relationships in this world. I also knew I had like environmental interests as well. And like you mentioned in your introduction about why physical geography and geomatics is important is because it's really topical. And I really liked that. So I felt like I wanted to see the change that I was making, as well as learn more about the world around me. And I discovered geography and I like instantly applied because I realized it was a perfect fit for me. In terms of figuring out my direct kind of like pathway in terms of urban studies, that was very recent actually. And that kind of happened after taking a couple of years of a variety of courses. So like you mentioned, I did take a fair amount of physical geography courses. I also take a lot of human as well. And then on top of that, some electives I've taken that complement urban studies, and I kind of realized that I realized what I liked over like I'd say 2 years or 3 years. Yeah.
Good, yeah, and I think that's I find that as an advisor for our students in our program, I often do, you know, like consult with students about as they finish their first year. Suddenly, their eyes have opened up to a whole bunch of new possible pathways. And one thing I should stress, and you could probably, I'm assuming you could probably attest to this, is that a lot of our programs are within geography and environmental studies are interrelated. So there's a lot of crossover of specific courses that students take, and so it's perfectly, it almost is always perfectly fine for a student to switch within a program or to add a minor or to switch the major slightly within our program without any sort of major problems, right? It's there's a lot of crossover between them. And just going back to what you said, it resonated for me because also when I went to Trent, my older sister went to Trent, and I went to visit her there, and that was sort of, it was important to have that experience. So did you come in when you were shopping around? Did you actually also visit Carleton, or did you and stay with your sister often, or?
Yeah. Before I actually even went to like the campus tours that they do in like spring. I went before to the campus just to visit my sister, and it was like in the summertime, so like the quad was beautiful, and you could see like all the students milling about and kind of just really see what life is like as a Carleton student. You can see all the amenities, and it was really nice. It kind of cemented my decision for sure.
Yeah.
Being able to see the campus and be there, and even like, you know, I've even like followed her to like some of her studio sessions and seen how her classmates and her work together, and like the professors, and how comfortable it is as an environment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's neat to hear. I just want to come back to courses again a little bit. So based from what I know of your specific program, like everyone has their own sort of unique path in terms of all the final courses that they end up taking. What I understand that you took really quite a variety of courses, from human to geography to urban geography to even some geomatics and physical geography. So of course, there's no pressure to choose physical geography or geomatics because that's what I specialize in. Regardless, what was your favorite? Can you choose one or two of your favorite courses from all of those? It may be hard, but what would you say are your favorites?
Yes. This was actually hard when I thought about this earlier a little bit, but Jill was right because the field course was definitely up there.
Yeah.
It was like one of the most enriching experiences I've had in like my education. And I am not picking favorites, but the introductory maps, satellites, and the geospatial revolution was a really eye-opening course for me. It's required. It's required in first year, I believe, for geography students, and I can see why it's required because it was a great introduction into geomatics. Like you said, some people listening might not even know about it, and I personally didn't even know about it until I was starting to really gear down in terms of like getting ready for university and my geography degree. So once I learned about how increasingly relevant it was extremely eye-opening. And as a first-year student, it was nice to be introduced to this new method of viewing the world. And it was in a way that wasn't overwhelming, but it was in a way that was genuinely interesting and inspiring for me to learn more.
That's so great. It warms my heart to hear, of course, but that's good. And I also was going to ask you if you'd taken any field courses, so that's you answered that. And now I'm just curious, did you take the one every year? We offer the one in Lanark. That one is the most regularly offered one. So is that the one that you took in Lanark County, just outside of Ottawa?
Yeah, I took it last August. So end of August going into September. So that was really great. The way it works for people that might not know is like we all just kind of go on this trip to Lanark County in Ottawa, and we stay there for a couple days, and we do a lot of field work basically. So we gather a bunch of data in many different forms. So like data on like the environment around us, and also interviewing locals, and we all work together as a group and try to, write reports and get all this work done. And it was really kind of intimidating at first because there's a huge idea of personal responsibility, but that part is why it kind of made me like appreciate it more, because it was super rewarding to like get your own data and like write your own report, and it's fully just by you. And it's really it's challenging at first, but very rewarding. And there was many connections I made in that course to like the outer world and other courses I've taken as well. So it was like kind of a well-rounded example of a kind of a course in geography. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. I mean, I always love hearing that. I have actually taught that course on one occasion I was filling in, and it was really just such an amazing experience, because for people that are listening, that particular course is one where we really try to bring together both the physical and human dimensions of the world in geography. So it's actually taught by always by two faculty members, one who specializes in human geography and one who specializes in physical geography. And the activities are really designed to bring those two things together. So that's really great to hear. And I want to also ask us, thinking still along the lines of the courses that you've taken, I think you are a particularly good example of someone who's sampled such a wide variety of courses in our program. From all those different courses, you've probably gained so many different skills, right? Like really both hard and soft skills that you can then put in your toolkit and take with you into your career. So what are some examples of some skills that you, like concrete skills, that you find that you've developed throughout your degree so far?
I'd say in general, what all of my courses have kind of instilled and motivated me to do through experience and the structure of the courses is I feel definitely more confident when I think critically about certain issues. So compared to like high school, you do definitely get challenged to think critically, but in university, I found that it was so much more like deep of an understanding, more thorough, and that made me feel way more confident and made me want to just kind of learn more. In particular, I was not used to being thrown into like labs and field work because it felt like I said, a lot more personal responsibility, and I had to take more initiative. But again, that was incredibly rewarding. And now I feel more confident analyzing, condensing, and relaying information back, because I have a thorough understanding, or I know how to kind of gain a thorough understanding of these topics.
Great. Yeah, good. That's a great answer. So yeah, like critical thinking and analysis, and I guess would you say writing has been an important aspect as well, or like I mean, I guess with all of these things, even critical thinking, it's probably the amount that you do over the course of 4 years, right? It's just this constant sort of thrown in intense study and analysis and reporting, and then do it all over again constantly. So anything else that comes to mind? I mean, it doesn't matter if not, but that was a good answer. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Other than that, I would say, other than thinking critically, learning how to take initiative, I'd say, and manage kind of your motivation and your ambition. So so you can kind of be more inspired, I guess, to move forward in your personal and career-related endeavors, because it's easy to feel really lost in this time in our lives, you know what I mean? I definitely over the years have gained a bit more confidence and motivation and initiative.
Good. Great. So last question, similar to others, what are the next steps? So where are you hoping your degree is going to take you? Are you looking for jobs or a specific career path? And how are you preparing for that? I guess your exit strategy to move on from Carleton into the rest of your life.
It's not set in stone right now. I'm still working things through, but I definitely would like to work towards development or planning. I think that's really important, urban planning, development, or community planning. So I feel like with my geography degree and my urban studies minor that I just declared, it's given me a foundation to kind of base my future research on. So I may even go back and take a master's if I feel like I want to concentrate further on particular subjects. I've actually been looking into getting a GIS certificate after I finish this April. So to kind of strengthen my geomatics, you could say, backbone. And there's many options in Ontario that I found. In particular, I'm aiming for this 3-semester course program, at Algonquin.
Good. That's great to hear. So I guess because you did you were focused on your other sort of areas of human geography and urban, and only sampled a few of our geomatics classes. So that's good that it wet your whistle enough to inspire you to keep maybe doing some more in that. That's really great to hear. So thank you so much, Melina. Those were really great answers and really clear. And I hope it was helpful for other people in the audience to hear about your experiences. So thanks again.
Thanks so much.